Hi, here we are at the Arizona Science Center once again to hear a talk on nanotechnology by two ASU professors, and I will give you their names later as we walk in the building here. But today, 1 month later, we have sunlight this time of day, so we'll just pan around, let everybody see what we got here. And this is part of the Phoenix Museum of History sitting here at the Arizona Center. We'll just pan around here and show folks out there around the world what we have here. And this is an old part of Phoenix now, downtown. We're down in the original part of town here, and there's some historical buildings and houses that have been converted to restaurants and stuff. And just going to keep panning around here a little 360 before we go in and sit down and listen to this lecture here at the Arizona Center again. Once again, it's about nanotechnology and where it's gone and how it affects all of us, so maybe we'll go learn some things today. And there's a famous pizza restaurant right there somewhere. I can't remember the cat's name, but he was voted best pizza in America. Hard to believe here in Arizona. So there you go, a little 360 of what the Arizona Center looks like sitting here in downtown Phoenix on Van Buren and 7th Street. Enjoy. We're getting ready to walk in and record our video on nanotechnology. I thought I would just do a little pan around here and show some exhibits they have inside the building here. I guarantee you, like I said before, if you ever wanted to be someplace in a nuclear attack, this building might just be it. It is quite a concrete structure. And I found out recently from a friend of mine that there's 5 stories that go underground. And the outside of the building, as you noticed earlier, is all the different angles. And that's kind of to knock the bomb blast around, so there's not a vertical surface to hit. So we'll just keep panning around here, 360 this little room here. And we'll go get our chair inside and see what the professors have to say. And by the way, both professors are from ASU. I forgot to mention that earlier. And the girl will surely tell us all about it here in a minute. So hope everybody enjoys out there in YouTube land. And we'll go back in and sit down
and welcome to tonight's Science Cafe, presented by the Center for Nanotechnology and Society at Arizona State University. My name is Jennifer Watkins, and I'm tonight's cafe coordinator. CNS ASU is a research center funded by the National Science Foundation to study the societal, ethical, and environmental implications of nanotechnology research and development. As part of our mission, CNS ASU sponsors monthly science cafes in partnership with the Arizona Science Center. The cafes bring you, the public, together with university scholars to discuss how science and technology affect our lives. They are opportunities for you to not only learn from the people who produce and study science, but also for you to educate them by sharing your opinions, making comments, and voicing your concerns. Tonight's cafe is entitled Facts or Hype: What is the media telling us about nano and other new technologies? Our presenters are Joe Kullman and Joel Garreau. Before coming to ASU in 2006 as Senior Media Relations Officer for the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, Joe Kullman worked for more than 25 years as a reporter and editor for newspapers and magazines. He has been a features editor, a business news editor, an editorial and opinion pages assistant editor, and a reporter covering areas ranging from government, education, arts and entertainment, business, and urban growth issues, to environmental issues, science and technology, and architecture. Joel Garreau is a Lincoln Professor of Law, Culture, and Values at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona State University. For more than 30 years, he was a reporter and editor at the Washington Post. Most recently, Joel is the author of Radical Evolution: The Promise and Peril of Enhancing Our Minds, Our Bodies, and What It Means to Be Human. In Radical Evolution, he looks at how revolutions in genetics, robotics, information, and nanotechnologies are increasingly modifying our minds, memories, metabolism, personalities, progeny, and possibly our souls. We will begin tonight by hearing from Joel Garreau.
Great. I'm going to have her preach my funeral. Well, yeah, hi. As a Washington Post reporter and editor, I know something about this subject. But I've only got 2 things to say about nano hype this afternoon. The first is that nanotechnology today barely exists. There isn't much interesting to say about socks nano pixie dust sprinkled on them that we'll never smell. Although these are on the market. But in fact, almost anything you can say today about nano products is speculation. Therefore, it's almost entirely outrageous hype today. Like this, for example, okay? This is what we now think of as nano, right? This is an iPod Nano. There is nothing nano about this. It's just a buzz phrase. You know, it's just something that they use because they thought it would sell plastic. Okay, there's nothing about this that's actually nano. Or look at this. This is a 2006 New Yorker cartoon, right? Nano and nano, nano and nano. The reason it's funny is because you can say almost anything you want about nano, and it might be true. Let your mind roll. That's today. On the other hand, the other thing I've got to say about nanotechnology is that the entire idea behind it is to fundamentally control all of matter and energy. That's such a mind-boggling and far-reaching prospect that, in principle, it's impossible to overhype that. Okay? So, yeah, there you have it. Hype is inevitable today. It's impossible tomorrow. That's why I thought it might be useful to start picking apart what we mean by nanotechnology to see where we are between these two extremes, between outrageous hype and an unimaginable future. Nanotechnology means manipulating the unimaginably small. A nanometer is a billionth of a meter. It's the length of 5 carbon atoms in a row. It's the distance your fingernail grows in 1 second. Okay? Suppose a nanometer were the size of your nose. If that were true, then a red blood cell would be the size of the Empire State Building. A human hair would be more than 2 miles thick. Your finger would span the United States from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and a person would be taller than 6 planet Earths stacked one on top of the other. That's if a nanometer were the size of your nose. Now, there are 2 kinds of nanotechnology, one more far-reaching and controversial than the other. The first one is the one that's already coming into existence. Let's call this nanotech mild. It reduces big things to sizes so astonishingly little that their behavior changes dramatically. Transistors, for example, or the active ingredients in sunblock. Hundreds of tons of this nanotech mild are being made in U.S. labs and factories already. Within this decade, this nanotech mild is expected to be a $1 trillion business, which is about the size of the GNP of Canada. Now, the other kind of technology, let's call that nanotech strong, is the one its proponents say promise godlike powers, immortality, unimaginable wealth. Its detractors say it'll doom us and every living thing on the planet. Now, this form of strong nanotechnology is intended to work the other way around from nanotech mild. Instead of taking big things and making them little, strong nanotech involves taking individual atoms and stacking them into any large thing we want. Anything we want. Diamonds, spacecraft, anything you want. Much of nanotech mild today involves zapping relatively large amounts of things until they become small enough to acquire unusual powers. For example, there's this guy at Rice University, Richard E. Smalley. Don't you love that name? A nanotech engineer named Smalley? Anyway, he shared the 1996 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for hitting a batch of pure carbon with a special laser until the atoms rearranged themselves into a previously unknown molecule. It was a ball made of carbon made up of 60 atoms that came together looking like a geodesic dome, the Buckminster Fuller. In fact, this molecule is named the buckyball in Fuller's honor. Buckyballs and their cousins, the nanotube fibers, have a lot of intriguing properties. They're 60 times stronger than steel. They have the weight of plastic, the electrical conductivity of silicon, the heat conductivity of diamond, and the size and perfection of DNA. The government, the U.S. government, is throwing big bucks at this and jump-starting this sort of nanotechnology because, among other things, it sees enormous national security implications. Boeing, for example, is working on cutting the weight of rockets, aircraft, satellites. Asian and European governments are also frantically in a race to achieve a lead because this is being hyped as the next big thing in terms of everybody's economy. Yet, the first nano products